Good day, friends. I'm here to discuss about how technology affects our values as Filipinos. This is a very interesting topic, considering how at this very day and age we are enveloped by gadgets such as laptop, cameras, iPods, even the internet, all in the internet. And these gadgets, these technology, are essential or has been part of our lives already. It is essential for our living. Technology by definition is something by application and things that make our life easier, make work easier, make our job easier, make even fun and how we play with our toys easier. This is how important technology is today, as we speak. However, it is important to discuss how does these pieces of technology affects our values as Filipinos. How does it shape our morality, our Filipino ideologies, and our being Filipino as we face our life as students, maybe as workers, or perhaps as leaders of the society. So now, let's take a step back and look at the history of how values education took form in the Philippines. And as we discuss this, maybe we can discuss or we will discuss technology involved in this kind of forum. After the four-day non-violent revolt in February 1986, which toppled the 20-year-old Marcos dictatorship and restored democracy in the Philippines, the Aquino government realized that rebuilding a nation was more difficult than ousting a dictator. A social revolution was required to guide the country through its transition, to re-establish democratic institutions, freedom and dignity for the Filipino people. Thus, the then Department of Education, Culture and Sports, or now we call the DepEd today, identifies the social transformation through education as its top priority. And this is how a values education program begin in the school system. So values education is the process by which values, attitudes, and habits are formed as the learners interacts with the environment under the guidance of a teacher. Studying values will not necessarily influence behavior. Behavior can only be influenced when a value is experienced and a commitment made to it in belief and attitude. Now, a continuing upsurge of crime and violence and corruption is causing public alarm in the Philippines. Concerned citizens are demanding government actions against the breakdown of morality. The Moral Recovery Program submitted by Senator Leticia Ramos-Shahani to the Senate in 1898 and the VEX Values Education Program launched the same year. Both emphasize social reform through the inner transformation of the individual. This study will represent the VEX Value Education Program at the primary, secondary, and tertiary levels of education. The geographic makeup of the Philippines include three large islands, namely Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, and more than 7,000 small ones. There are 8 major language groups to which most people in the lowlands belong, and about 100 minor language and dialects spoken by people in the uplands and archipelago. The Philippines is predominantly Christian. Catholics comprise about 82.92% of the population. Several Protestant groups combine to form 3.9%, and local Christians, churches like the Anglicans and the Iglesia de Cristo, have considered followings. Born-again Christians and fundamentalists make up a small portion of the Christian population. Yet, the largest cultural minority group remains the Muslim. About 100 other cultural communities are spread throughout the country, and interestingly, studies by behavioral scientists show that there are recognizable values, beliefs, and attitudes that bind all these Filipinos together. Now, despite a common values education framework acceptable to these groups and mindful of their cultural, linguistic, and religious differences was a difficult task. The framework had to be flexible enough to allow differences in priorities, expressions, and behavior. Program activities had to strengthen commonalities and respect differences in order to develop a spirit of tolerance, appreciation, and mutual acceptance. Teaching desirable values and responsible behavior requires education. Can you live without technology?
Yes.
Yes, because
Yes, because I used to be outdoor games, activities, expressions, like this kids do.
Special things, especially when working on something.
if there is one specific piece of technology you can live without or gadget, what would that be and why?
I think the TV, because I think I'm easily entertained by, fascinated by things that I can do.
In your opinion, does the technology unite or divide us?
I think it unites us because it helps us also to communicate with others.
Can you comment on the rootedness of the Filipino?
Again,
Can you comment on the rootedness of the Filipino? Pagkaka-ugnay-ugnay. Comment lang on the rootedness. For example, Ondoy, ano yung ano? Specific example. Okay, nagkakat ko naman ito eh. Splice ko naman.
parang ano, nagkakatulong-tulong kahit sa delubyo.
How important do you think is technology to the Filipinos?
It's important because it helps our economy to.
How about during times of crisis like
Yes, it's important because it helps people tinutulungan niya yung tao na mag-send ng message ng niya tulong kaya para sa ibang tao para makatulong.
Oh, yun lang. Thank you. Oh, can you live without technology?
Yes, because I'm not born with technology, so sanay na ako na walang technology.
If there's one piece of technology that you can't live without, what would that be and why?
Phone.
Phone?
Yes.
Phone. Okay. How do you connect technology and Filipino values? Can you live without technology? If there's one piece of technology that you cannot live without, what would that be and why? Can't. Oh, can't live without. Teaching desirable values and responsible behavior requires educating a whole society, a fact which may overwhelm educators and discourage them. And integrating values education into the school system has been, of course, always met with controversies, which definitely includes religion. Moral and spiritual values are taught as to arise as a result of free choice, acceptance, and internalization by an individual. So values education was met with a little reluctance in the academia. But it was still part of it. It was integrated in each of the curriculum. It's important for each of one to know about it. Now let's discuss how this technology play a role in propagating these Filipino values that we are so proud of. The pakikisama, the being men and women for others, and just being there. Or perhaps just feeling. Being a Filipino knows this, not only the utang na loob, but it's also in feeling them. Feeling the viewers. Feeling our comrades. The sense of belongingness, the sense of rootedness is inherent to us as Filipinos. Technology has indeed changed the way we live. Computers have gone a long way from the invention of the abacus to the age of networks, tablets, and data. We saw how mass communication has advanced quickly from the town crier or the barangay to broadcasting networks and now to social media. These technological advancements have generally made our work faster and easier. This world has evolved from the so-called Generation E, or the generation of the electronics, to a much sophisticated world of microcomputers and integrated technologies. Well, a lot of parents, elders, has, however, complained or feared about the advent of mobile and phone technologies, which has slowly contributed to the erosion of the supposed family values of the Filipino. They say most of the gadgets which technology provides have, penetrated almost all facets of human relations. Is technology slowly taking away the age of Filipino cultural values? Thus, technology replaces the warmth of the face-to-face communication with a seemingly cold text with images of video call, or the e-lamay, which is a project by college, take away the embraces among relatives in a tiny. Technology, they say, makes us closer with the people distant to us, but farther close to us. Technology has offered us ways of doing things easier and faster, but this does not mean that technology itself has taken away our values. Our consumption of technology does not blur our notion of a family and community. The tools and gadgets are only parents to use them. Ever. Let us remember that the power of technology emanates from the very people who create and use them. It is us who create the content of technology. Therefore, it is our responsibility to make sure that the power of technology is geared towards the preservation of our heritage as a Filipino family and as a Filipino nation. Then again, we should ask, are we doing something to keep our values intact? The once leading technology company named the Aerospace that the world has actually just the beginning of everything. In a network society, connectivity will be the starting point for new ways of innovating, collaborating, and socializing. It's about freedom, power, and each one of us. An opportunity to transform to industries and society. Will help find solutions to this problem that we have faced in our lives. Well, according to this, it's long years to connect 1 billion people. But thanks to this it just expanded to 25 years. 25, around 5 billion people are thanks to social society. When one person connects to the world, the more our world change, our values, the social all these social networks help shape the society, how so it helps shape our values. It's how we deal with people, how we communicate with them. This communication is important and very crucial if we want to propagate the Filipino values we were born into, and for it to stay for the generations to come, even after we are long gone. So how do these social media and technology affect our values as Filipino? Here is it. So the question persists. So the question persists. Have we sustained and promoted our positive values amid these vast technological advances? Maybe we should ask ourselves that. But first, we must learn to use technology to keep our values intact as we familiarize ourselves with the latest technology. Let us continue to live by the same values our parents and elders have taught us. It is always, I believe, the human factor that will spell the difference. The Filipino family should learn to adapt to these changes and use technology in a way that Filipino cultural values are enhanced rather than I was thinking about how sacrifice can utilize communication. Maybe that is a challenge for us teenagers. And this challenge you, I must accept. That is all. Once again, I'm your host, Mr. Dan Villanueva of FTU Institute of Technology. Goodbye.